No.
All right, great. Thank you. This is just our statement. The county is not recording. The recording is not the property of the county. The county makes no representations about the accuracy of the recording and is not responsible for the content. The recording is the exclusive property of the union or the recorder, and copies of the recording must be directly requested from the recorder. The county has no obligation under Florida Statute 119, as it is not the county's recording, nor does the county maintain a copy. Oh, well, thank you. And again, apologies for any confusion getting started this morning. And we do have a very robust package to present to you. What we have for you today is an entire package. And by that, I mean all of these articles are connected. So rejection of one or part of one will mean the entire package is rejected. But the package includes every open article remaining, and we'll articulate as we go through which articles there are. One thing that we have outstanding is Article 19. We TA'd that some time ago, and Scott, maybe I lost it, but I don't have your signature back on that. So at the end of the day today, we may have even included it in this package, but it is an article we already agreed to. And if your notes reflect differently, let me know, but I signed it and sent it off some time ago.
No, my notes reflected it's a T8 also. So when we caucus, I'll go through my file and see if I can find the TA. If I haven't signed it, I'll sign it and get it over to you. If I have, I'll send you a copy.
Okay. All right, now I'm going to walk through this and ask Flo to keep me honest on the articles that we're proposing. By our count, this is every article that remains open in the contract.
Okay.
I'll enumerate them now, okay? Article 1, recognition. Article 3, union representation. Article 4, dues deduction. Article 5, access to bargaining unit. Article 6, probation. Article 7, seniority. Article 8, schedules. Our Article 8 will incorporate Article 26.
Okay.
Excuse me. Article 10, vacation. Combined Articles 11 to 15, which is a combined leave article. Article 17, retirement and health. Article 18, employee health and fitness. Article 19, which we already discussed, which can be outside. Article 20, uniforms and grooming. Article 23, grievance and arbitration. Article 24, compensation. Article 25, specially charged paramedic. Article 26 is part of Article 8 now. A new Article 27 and Article 30, effective date and term.
Okay, that matches everything that we had that was not TA'd or had no proposal on.
Okay, great. All right, then let me get started. And I'm going to ask somebody in the room if they could put up on the screen. And Scott, while they're putting this up on the screen, how we're going to forward this to you when we're finished is an entire PDF package sequentially that has all the PDFs in it of the articles. As and when you need Word versions, I'm going to have to send those to you separately so you can work through them. But just so you know, the first thing will be a complete package with the PDFs.
Okay.
Okay. And in advance, apologies about the variety of colors that are in here. They all should be red, but when we sent them back and forth and created them to PDFs, unfortunately, some of them turn different colors, but I'll point that out.
That's fine.
Article 1, recognition. Our counter proposal is this. Our article reflects what is in the PERC petition. Exactly. I have enumerated here emergency medical technician, paramedic, charge paramedic, specialty charge paramedic, which was an addition, charge paramedic / firefighter. We are rejecting your article proposal to put in community paramedics. We do not believe they're a part of the bargaining unit. Should you choose to have them be part of our bargaining unit, PERC has a process for that through unit clarification, a petition, whatever it is. This is our counter, and it reflects adding the specialty charge paramedic and what the PERC petition says. So clearly that's the only thing that we're changing here. Okay. Article 3, union representatives. The first part of this article remains the same. However, we know you were in one of your proposals asked for union time to do union business. So our counter to that is to create a leave bank for you. Basically, the union leave bank would be created from collectively gathering hours from union members, from the bargaining unit members, that would be donated on an annual basis to up to 100 hours or however many we are in the pool, but you can have up to 100. And from that pool on an annual basis, the following process would occur. The board members would be granted 100 hours. So the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer will be granted up to 100 hours of business time to be used by the representatives, 2 per event. Then you'll be requesting the time off to participate in joint labor management projects, which are approved by the EMS chief. The leave bank, as I said, will be created by contributions of leave time from union members, contributing an hour of vacation leave during the year for a maximum of 2 representatives to attend the events. Each year in September 30th, if you'd move along, scroll down, thank you. That anything remaining, if there is anything, would be forfeited and a new bank would be established. To figure out how this would occur, the union's president would request the hours from the bank 7 days in advance. So the chief has an opportunity to see if employees are going to be out and to help in scheduling that, and to make sure that everybody knows why they're on leave and that that time should be used. Then before the time is to be used, there should be a confirmation to make sure that those numbers are in the bank and they're available. And that's why the other part of the reason why a 7-day notice period is being requested. And scheduling that, including the chief, the EMS chief, is to ensure that it's going to minimize the amount of overtime and that there's proper coverage if those individuals are going to be on the leave. So basically what we did was we took your request to have leave time and built a bank for you from the members.
Understood.
Article 4, dues deduction. Just a little change. We thought it might be helpful to attach the actual form used or put it in the contract. I don't have it for you today, but we'll get a copy and send it to you. We're not proposing any changes in the actual document. It's just that there had been some questions about what the document looked like. The authorization will be until the union status would change, or that PERC declares that the union has participated or instigated any strike or anything inappropriate, or notification of withdrawal, which was already in this section. And the other change is to include a service charge. We have put in a $400 charge for bookkeeping, retention, and transmittal of the funds. This doesn't even approach what the cost is, but we are trying to offset some of the, as you know, this is not necessarily just done in HR. This also goes to the clerk's office, and there's a cost involved in actually providing this service. Then we've stricken the automatic transmittal of the form and the list. If the union wants one, absolutely, we're happy to give it to you on a basis as and when required under Chapter 119. But this helps cut down on the administrative responsibilities, making sure that we have timely done this and the costs that are affected from this. The remainder of the article remains the same. Article 5, this is status quo. We're not proposing any changes in Article 5. Article 6, probation, and I'm going to ask the EMS chief to opine as and when. We've changed it from computation of hours to calendar months for ease of computing and understanding of what the probationary time is. Our proposal is a 12 calendar months from the time of hire, with the right of the EMS chief to extend the probationary period in 6 months increments. The changes to section 2 reflect that language and change it from hours to 12 months. In section 5, we've changed that. We'll notify the union within 10 business days, merely because it's just easier to identify which type of days that we're talking about rather than calendar days. And that's the extent of the change. So the import of the change in that is to change from hours to months with the ability to extend. Article 7. The only changes in Article 7 are in subsection C. Sorry again about the color change. This reflects what our recognition article now says. So one of the holdups in doing this earlier was just to make sure the language in both articles was the same. No changes. Article 8, I'm going to turn this over to the chief. He can walk through the combination of including 8 and 26 in one article. Jimmy?
Sure. So you can see the markouts here. Instead of making it a schedule, we change it to operating hours. We try to include some information that have been some of the barriers during the last couple of years. But the 12-hour units are here. When the original article was written, it was pretty much written for one unit, and that was Alpha 19. And since then, they've kind of changed the way EMS is being delivered here. So you'll see that. It also spells out the Delta Echo requirement that we offer to those bargaining unit members. Again, I believe we talked briefly about this last time, but the 12 or 24-hour draft, it'd be my intent to, if we were to draft employees, that it would be for the classification that they fill. So a 12-hour employee will get drafted for a 12-hour truck, a 24-hour employee would get drafted for a 24-hour truck. And there's always a caveat where, you can find your own coverage or split it, but you would need to help us find that coverage. All of this is left the same. Notification of illness or injury, that goes back to Article 11. I think you guys got that last time, and that will be in this packet as well. Section G, we just kind of changed it to be more appropriate to the person doing the work. The EMS scheduler is a full-time position. District chief does it as like a PRN type status, so just makes it more in alignment with the people that are doing the work. Talked about the float positions last time, but the idea is to get them placed so they're not burning out. Back to the draft, this is just another clarifying statement. If we were to have an 8, 10, 12, or 24-hour shift, depending upon our meeting with you all, it is the intent that the individual only gets drafted for their assigned unit. Schedules, this is extremely dated. The intent here is just to have an ABC shift schedule, and then the 12-hour schedules, it needs to be in a general order or something like that. We don't have a D1, E1 shift any longer.
May I ask one question?
Yep.
Going back up to the drafting specific unit, 24, 8, 10, 12, whatever. As it stands now, a 12-hour employee is draft eligible on their first day off, but not their second or third. Is your intent to make that person draft eligible on their first, second, or third day, depending on how it falls in the week, or is it still only the first day they're off?
No, I like that. I think the first day off, and we could probably make that adjustment if that's something that you would like to be spelled out.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's clarification there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It is the first day off, and I'm just trying to make sure that our workforce is protected. It's not really spelled out in the contract now, but as we, increase the 12-hour trucks, I want to make sure that, the workload is spread amongst all the employees. That's it. Karen, on to Article 10.
Okay, Article 10, vacation leave. There's a couple changes in this article. So we scroll down to there we go. This section has been removed on how they may request the holiday leave. It's being removed from the article. If we scroll down to Section 3 procedure, we're preparing for electronic management through a scheduling system. Most likely, Jimmy, am I correct? It's going to be telestaff. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah. So we're Clint and Scott. The county has executed a purchase order. I guess there's a contract in place for us to move away from a lab tech and back to telestaff. All old things are new. But inside telestaff, it will allow us to do vacation bidding completely electronic, if that's something that we would like to do. I think that it would be extremely user-friendly if that's something that we would like to do. But it'd be my recommendation that, if we are able to do it electronically through telestaff, that we allow the software to work the way it's designed to. And another good benefit for this is, currently our employees are having to do like a time off request through Workforce and a lab tech. Telestaff will be all encompassing. So telestaff will be our workforce and our scheduling system. It won't be like a dual time off request type process that we're doing now. I agree with you. I think it was Scott that said it last time. Regarding vacation bidding, it does seem silly for us all to get into a room like we used to a long time ago. We've become pretty efficient doing what we're doing now with Zoom and WebEx. So we went ahead and added that language into our proposal, and you'll see that there. The only thing that we added in addition to your request was that the bids need to be received no later than 1700 the Friday before the bid week. We haven't had a huge issue in the past, but there's a lot of potential as we continue to grow that emails are overlooked and things of such. Vacation leave outside of the annual bid process. This reflects as the MOU that we worked on a couple years ago, Clint. It's really just a copy and paste of that language. Hang on. I found that this I was a little bit redundant, so we just struck it. And sick leave is in Article 11.
Moving on, Article 11, what we have done, and you saw a version of this earlier from us, so this is a change in our original position. We have struck through the numerous pages of the article. We have retained our proposal that we've inserted sick leave here, as the chief just said. You will see that we've stricken through bereavement leave, and you'll see that appears later because you had a counter proposal for us and had some questions about it. We have left the remainder of our proposal, our prior proposal, intact, that this is in agreement with the jury duty, military leave, witness leave, domestic violence leave, all is in accordance with the county policies. Because of directly in response to your request about bereavement leave, we have added a section called bereavement leave, which is identical to the current language. So it's the status quo language, and we put it back in here intact. And it includes a one-time sick leave balance adjustment in this article. So just to be clear, we took our other article that we had proposed earlier. We heard what you said about bereavement leave, and we reinstated that language in total into our proposal. Okay. Article 17, we are rejecting your proposals, and our counter to that is a status quo of the health plan language, etc., and retirement. Article 18, employee health and fitness. The change to this is really a matter of redundancy. Bargaining unit member seeking promotion must have successfully completed. We've already said that above, so we just took that sentence out. There's no intent for anything to be different in this article. Article 20, grooming, uniform grooming and standards. We have discussed this in previous sessions with you. Our proposal is to put the particulars in a GO. At one of our last meetings, we actually gave you a copy of what the GO would look like. And again, we anticipate sitting down and talking about this. We have therefore identified which components are in here and how probationary employees will get their initial, that they will get an initial allotment, and that the bargaining unit members are required to use all of the issued equipment, uniforms, and boots as defined in the department guidelines. Stricken the particulars here. And then for the uniform classes, refer to department guidelines for the specifics of which articles of clothing are to be worn when, and then expanded on and clarified the sweatshirt wearing and usage and how they're to be worn, and that shorts and members must wear short sleeve shirts and shoes, and because of a standard, we want to set boots or half boots shall not be worn while wearing shorts. And then uniform maintenance, stricken the uniform vendor will handle replacement or damaged uniforms. That will work on any kind of replacements that we need to work on. The pay period stipend remains the same. We've just added department guidelines because that is where they will lie in the same guidelines as before. That's just a cleanup of the language. We have removed some language from Article 5A, jewelry. The remaining sections of that article remain the same. So the major change in that is to the concept of the articulation of each piece of clothing being in a general order. Article 23, grievance and arbitration, we have no changes to that. Our proposal is status quo. I'm going to turn this over to Ashley, who will walk us through the compensation proposal. And Ashley, if you're there and can get to Article 24, I'll turn this over to you.
Okay, so in the compensation article, we replaced the old table with our new proposed table. In our table, we combined paramedics and EMTs into one job title. We want to implement this new proposed pay structure following the first pay period after this agreement is ratified. And we want to place everyone in there at the greater of the new pay grade minimum or a 3% increase added to your base salary. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. And coming on October 1, all county employees will receive a 3.9% increase across the board. So you guys will see that automatically. It's effective September 25th, and it will be in your paychecks on October 22nd, I believe. Let me just pull up the calendar to confirm. Yes, it will be in your October 22nd paycheck.
And let me just interject for a minute. That is based on the status quo nature of the current contract. So that's going forward.
Correct. So just so I'm clear, Karen, on that, the proposal would be to adjust the wages according to this chart upon ratification.
Yeah. Yes. And that may, you know, and if it's ratified in November, then it will go into effect in November, in addition to the October increases. Okay. Just so everybody realizes that. And I don't know, Ashley, do you have the ability to show the step through of where people may end up? Scott, one of the things we've done is to take somebody in each classification and show what this will mean when they're slotted into the new pay grades.
Yeah, that's fine. You can send that over and we'll look at that in our group.
Okay. Ashley, do you want to address that and what those ranges are? Up to what, 33% increase? Depending on your role.
Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling it up.
Okay.
Okay. All right, can everyone see? All right, this is the proposed base pay structure that we have set up. It's just pretty straightforward. And then these are just some examples of what that would look like for employees in the structure. So just sample employee 1 is an EMT. They're a current pay grade 1. They would be a new pay grade 1. This would be their new pay range. And they would receive the greater of the new minimum or a 3% increase. For this particular sample employee, it equates to a 33% increase in pay. Same thing, employee number 2 is a paramedic. They're a current pay grade 2. We are putting them in a new pay grade 1. They would be placed into the pay range at the new minimum or 3%. So for this sample employee at $43,000, the new minimum is going to be more advantageous for them. I believe this equates to a 6% increase. The charge paramedics are current pay grade 3. They would be a new pay grade 2 in our new proposed structure. This equates to, I believe, an 11% increase, so they would be placed at $53,000. And then the specialty charge paramedics, we maintained the 5% difference for them for the last contract, and they would be placed in the structure the same way, greater of the new minimum or 3%.
Understood.
Thanks. We'll take a screenshot of that and get that to you as well.
Yeah.
It's not actually in the document. If we can go back to the article.
Okay, we are also proposing merit increases for you all based on the chart here that we've placed into the agreement. And so this would be for fiscal years 22 and 23, and they would be effective the last pay period in December. And that's just the pay period that it's been effective for other county employees in the past. So we just wanted to maintain that schedule. So based on an employee's rating, they would receive these increases.
And Keith and Ashley, are these distinguished performance role models, superior, et cetera, based on the matrix that you work through with the union?
Yeah, so it was a while ago, Clint, we worked together to revamp the way the collective and bargaining unit members are evaluated and some objective data, which has resulted in us buying First Watch and creating employee report cards and things like that. So yes, that is all in alignment with what is being proposed here.
Can I ask a couple of questions about the percentages just so I understand? So these are the percentages that you should expect if you get a 3, a 4, or a 5. And then next year, when we do our EPEs, is this what these will be worth exclusively? Or I know you talked about we're getting the 3.9% across the board for the entire county. So is the expectation that there will be another percentage like that next year, and then this is on top of that 3.9, or is this what an employee can expect to get next year if they were to get a 4, 3, a 4, or 5?
Yeah, so I can try to answer that question if it's okay with Karen. Okay, so what we have done, Clint and Scott, we have removed that Me Too clause section of the article. And that is, you can see that above. So to answer your question, Clint, whatever the county employees get is what the county employees get, and the collective bargaining unit members will get what is outlined in our agreement here. So the 3.9% is across the board adjustment in alignment with the status quo contract. The annual performance appraisal process is a county initiative, but it's changed a little bit, right? I don't know if you've seen your EPE yet. We're intending to use that same process, but also tie it in with some data-driven initiatives that we've discussed in the past with the employee report card. So your shoot time, your protocol compliance, your success rates of wearing your PPE, documentation, truck checks, all those things that we co-wrote that memo, all of that will be in account with this annual merit-based rate. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just trying to distinguish or differentiate. Are these on top of whatever your merit-based rate? So these are like we'll call it a bonus for getting this a 4 or a 5, or is this what a 4 is going to be worth 1.5%, and a 5 will be worth a 2% raise for your?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
The way, and if I may, Jimmy and Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way this works out is that effective October of this year, you'll be getting a 3.9% increase. In addition to that, as soon as the contract is ratified, people will get between 6 and 33% increase. And in the subsequent second and third year, you're going to be guaranteed, if your performance is set out here, the various increased percentages. Nobody else in the county is getting promised anything in years 23 or 24. The difference between this and other years is we are guaranteeing to this unit and these employees alone these increases. So it is a different structure based on 2 increases likely this year, and then these 2 increases in the subsequent years. Did I say that correctly, Ashley and Jimmy?
That is correct. And Clint, I will say, just in an effort of transparency here, last year's EPE was, pay for performance was, my opinion on it. I don't need to continue to echo my dissatisfaction, but I will let you know that I do not believe that there is a merit-based increase for county employees next year. So this is an effort to make sure that we are not left behind again. It was really unfair what happened this past year, and we're trying to make it where we can get this for your guys' performance. So if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer. If not, we can just move on.
Just out of curiosity, is the intent that the county's actually going to fund the possibility that every employee could be a 5 and get a 2%? Or are they going to half fund it and then make excuses why they can only give them a 3 or a 4?
No, our intent is the county's intent is to fund whatever the performance comes to be. That's the risk that we're taking by ensuring that, we tie it to the role model and the matrix that the union set down with the management and worked out. So.
Understood.
And then Jimmy, the rest of this is some cleanup in language, and then language about clarification of the percentages for the maximum stackable increases being 5%, correct?
Yeah, it's just cleanup.
Just clean up in the article. Okay. And a change to the starting wages based on need and how we're going to be having to recruit in the future, and giving us some flexibility to recruit new employees.
Well, hang on one second, Karen. My apologies. It looks like our added statement wasn't read, but where it says starting pay shall not exceed a bargaining unit member the same number of years minus 1 year. That should be read.
Sorry. Scott, let's
I'll make a note.
Can you see that? Yeah, under subsection 5. And when I get the Word versions to you, I'll try to make sure that's in red. Thanks, Jimmy, for pointing that out. Article 25, no changes here. There is a new Article 27 regarding lost or damaged equipment. I'm going to let Jimmy address the issues that have resulted in proposing this article. The article itself sets forth how if their equipment is damaged and how the cause will be determined and various levels and how the repayments would be made. So Jimmy, do you want to walk through the need for this? It's maximum of up to $750. And if you could explain to Scott and Clint the reasons why.
Sure. So I think the idea behind this is to increase shared accountability across the organization. The intent is to just make sure that folks are more mindful of how they use equipment. We've bought brand new computers and have replaced half of them. I think that the problem is yes, they're getting used. Yes, we have a high call volume, but people are not treating the equipment like it's theirs. So the idea behind this is to have some type of monetary tie-in to if you are knowingly causing damage to equipment outside of losing your job, right? It's not the intent for anyone to get their employment separated for damaging equipment. For an example, I would say like the employee who constantly cracks the computer screen, because of the job habits that they're doing. So in this article, there's a maximum of $750, and that doesn't really pay for much, but I think that it's enough to say, hey, be mindful of how you use equipment. Scroll down, Scott, I know that you may be aware, but we're changing our organization to adjust culture. So this kind of aligns with some of those mindsets. So if it's willful misconduct, so if the employee knowingly didn't follow a policy or procedure, this is what will result. Is it a failure to take a reasonable precaution? This is the result. And if there's just extenuating circumstances, it's the cost of doing business, we'll just write that off.
I think the other thing that's important in this too to know, this isn't a single person making a determination. This is the Labor Management Committee. This would come before the committee for any decision to be made.
And I think it's important. I know that Karen has mentioned to Scott multiple times about our working relationship, or my working relationship with the union. I intend, and I know, Scott, you had said, what if I leave tomorrow? I think that is a climate and culture that's been created with a lot of effort from your union leadership team and mine as well, that if I were to leave tomorrow, that is not just going to go away. But we've kind of memorialized that workflow process in this article as well. So, we would participate in the investigation process, share our findings, and go through root cause analysis of what occurred and be in alignment with the union.
Understood.
And last but not least is the effective date and term, which we have not filled in, but it's a 3-year agreement, as you could probably tell from the compensation proposal that we made. But our proposal is a 3-year proposal. And again, we'll fix this article to reflect that. I think I sent the wrong one over last evening. Okay. So I think we'll do 2 things, Scott. I'm going to ask, I'm going to try to send this to you as one big PDF first, so you have it and you can distribute it however you like.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll work on getting you all of the documents in a Word version, but I'll try to go back in and make the changes for things that weren't, I think there were 2 or 3 that weren't struck through or highlighted appropriately, and then send those to you, because you probably either now want to ask some questions or take a caucus and come back and ask some questions, because I know this is a lot of information.
Yeah, I think just being realistic, if you send this over to me, we can go to our breakout room. We can walk through it together. If there's any immediate questions that we have, we'll make note and come back and meet with you. I don't want to tie you up, and I'm not even going to pretend that we can have anything to meaningfully counter back with today. So it's just going to be, thanks for all the info, and we're going to have to get offline and kind of start sorting through this. My question to you is, I know you've made this a complete package. Do you want a complete package back as a counter? Do we want to give some consideration? We're talking 12, 13 articles at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 articles. And of that, we're deleting another 3 or 4 out of leaves. If we're going to go back and forth as a one giant offer, I had mentioned it in one of our emails, but does it make sense to have a mediator join in to try to help guide us through this? Because if we're going to go back and forth on 17 articles as one back and forth proposal, that's going to be a pretty monumental task.
Let me say this. I can't, however you care to respond to this is the union's strategy. We are proposing it as a package for 2 reasons. One, it includes a very generous compensation package, some changes that we have discussed and need. And as I said, it is a package, but I cannot in advance tell you if you parse some of these out and want to exclude them, that we would reject them, because I don't know what you're going to put forth. I'm not requiring you to respond in a package at all, just to be aware that if the union chooses to pick and choose certain articles, then some of this proposal may come off the table and we may reformulate our response to you. I don't think we need a mediator yet. This is the first time you've seen our whole package. Certainly our next session can be longer. I realize it's a lot of information, but to your point, we wanted you to have everything. As I think earlier, we went through an exercise where we looked at every article where we had some common ground and which ones the union had no changes on, but we had said we did. So we wanted to ensure that you had all of them. Certainly I'm not saying that a mediator is totally out of the question. I just don't think we need a mediator yet, but certainly we're willing to listen.
Okay. Well, like I said, we're going to obviously need some time to go through and try to put this all in perspective and go through and dissect each one. So, but if you would accommodate us a 15, 20-minute caucus so that we can kind of go through and see if there's any blaring questions we have or clarifications, we can do so. And then as we move forward, Karen, I'm sure you're not opposed if I have some offline questions just to email you directly.
Absolutely. I was going to invite you to do that. I mean, we're happy to do that. And I'm generally available up and through our next session. I do have some other negotiations going on, but I'll be around. I'm not going out of town for any extended period of time before our next session.
Sure. And like I said, if we do it, via email offline, then, there's no rush and we don't have to set appointments to get a couple clarifying questions answered.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's fine. All right. Well, we'll sign off now, and I will send this to you in just a few moments, as soon as I can get it together to send to you, and then we'll work on the others and we'll wait to hear back from you.
Very good. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.